that leads us into the acting scene, you know, and what, again, like, I think this is my favorite moment of the entire episode. It's around timestamp 20 minutes and 5 seconds. And it's when Aqua's talking about his own perception of, like, acting, when Kana brings up, like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, you're doing just fine, you know? Because it makes you think. I think before this episode, and sometimes I want to get into the mindset of, oh, you're just putting yourself down, man. But I think it's more intricate than that. And I applaud it for being more intricate than that. Because, like, so the dialogue here, I'm not so lousy that I hinder others, but I don't exhibit any charm either. And then he goes on to talk about the acting that Kana witnessed that day, and how it only felt so alien due to, it only felt so alien due to the disparity between my physical age and inner mind. And, like, I think that that's a really intelligent and, like, a great way to write that, because that has so much truth in it, right? And that aspect of himself that he naturally portrayed was what gave the director the idea to put him in the movie to do exactly what scared the director himself, right?
Yeah,
he was precarious. But it leads him into his current thought that now that his body's caught up to his mental age, he's just a dime a dozen actor. And I think it's so interesting, because on one hand, he can be completely right, correct? He can be completely hit on the nose that he is just a one in a dozen actor, nothing special about him. But him announcing that and saying that out loud and having that introspection and realization could be a self-fulfilling prophecy where he's already putting himself into that position, you know? Like,
which we talked about last episode, that he was already kind of extinguishing his flame before it even...
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because it's like, okay, you might be right, and you probably are right, but the people who are what you're talking about that you aren't are never going to get to that place by having that realistic view of themselves, right? It's going to have that overconfidence. It's going to have that I can do anything type of mentality. And him saying this out loud about himself is subconsciously putting himself exactly there. He's not letting himself go any farther than that.
Right. Oh, gosh, this is so good. He said... in this episode, when it was brought up, you know, to the family was talking about this new acting job that he had, and he was like, I don't have such lofty ambitions, like, to be an actor. And I wrote down lofty ambitions. What would he call his current ambitions? Like, his goal of revenge. If being an actor and possibly enjoying his life, or being admitting that he might be talented, or trying his best for himself, if that's lofty, then what is what he's currently doing? Like, what adjective would he add to his ambitions now?
It full of meaning. Like, there's actual, like, tangible meaning and importance in what he's doing now, and he does not see the benefit to the greater society or himself for doing something like acting. Like, I think that in terms of, like, real importance in his mind, that like, nothing else is going to be a certainty of importance and dedication like what he's after right now.
I like the word certainty. I'm a little bit different, I guess, in how I'm thinking about it. Like, I see lofty as another example of him just pushing himself down before he can actually reach it. And if we're just talking about a character that isn't thinking about himself at all, then obviously he's going to use such terms to describe anything that would be good for himself. Things that put distance between him, like, getting something for himself. He's going to use words like lofty, which pushes distance between him and that kind of ambition, that idea, that path. So I think that him choosing the path of revenge and the ambition of revenge is easily accessible to him, because it's almost like he doesn't have to go out of his comfort zone, and he doesn't have to think about himself. He can focus on thinking about someone else and other people, which is something that he is probably accustomed to from his previous life and from kind of what led to his death, and how he started to think before his death. So I feel like the lofty ambition that being the actor is probably something that he actually wants to do. And the revenge is something that he just feels like he has to do and that he's not important. And I think to say that the revenge aspect or that ambition is more important is not necessarily something that I would say.
Yeah.
Something that should be prioritized.
I don't think it should be. I think it is, though, like, in his mind. Like, that, like, I don't think he's ever even had the thought of if acting is happy for him or if it's, like, something that would make him happy.
Do you think subconsciously, though? I mean, he uses the word lofty, and so to me, and then we get these kind of micro expressions animated on his face every time he puts himself down or someone else brings up acting to him, like Kana at the dinner table with the director, that show almost this this divisiveness inside of him, this kind of pull inside of him where it's almost like he's fighting internally against something that he maybe kind of wants to do.
Well, subconsciously, I think is a key word there, because consciously, every aspect of what he is doing is aiding him and is being used as a tool for his actual goal, which is revenge, right? And like, I don't think that there's ever been a conscious thought of like of an enjoyment of acting past eyes. Maybe you'll be an actor one day.
I saying that, yeah, which is interesting because that's also something that someone else wanted for him.
Yeah, and like I think that like how analytical he is about it too is so interesting, because I think that in terms of like the general population liking your acting, if you're over analytical with your style, you're probably not going to appeal to the most amount of people. Therefore, you wouldn't be the best actor, right? But to fellow actors who understand the scene and what goes into a scene, like Kana, she's able to recognize his micro expressions, the little choices that he makes to try to be immersed and sell the story for what it is, rather than like just, I don't know, do what's on the script and, you know.
Which I like you bringing that up, because then it brings up something else that happens here. Right before the cigarette scene, we have the director talking about why using Kana is good, because she's able to kind of be a bridge, you know, connecting all the other actors that aren't very talented in order to kind of lift them up a little bit by sacrificing her own kind of stardom and ability. And it's exactly what she compliments Aqua for, that he has that ability to just almost be pleasant to work with, be pleasant on the camera, to not do anything crazy. And so she's complimenting him where he's like, oh, I didn't do like an amazing job. I did like a normal actor job. And she's complimenting him. And it's almost like, once we get that shot and that conversation later, it feels kind of upsetting because she's complimenting him for something almost as if she's trying to tell herself this. And then we get from the director that it's almost like they're taking advantage of her because of this. Yeah,
because she was so happy that she was finally being recognized for her innate acting ability, as well as her ability to bring everybody together. But that whole thing is being used, and her emotions therefore are being used.
Yeah, like it's not being respected. Like,
they're getting a deal.
It's really awesome that she is using her talent as the female lead to create a watchable product and to respect the crew and the writer of the manga, and you know, and so she has such like a beautiful and innocent and sweet reason for doing this, and she feels so proud of herself. And to know that all of that, like her inner working on herself and trying to be a good person, a good actor, a good crew member, that's all, you know, not being respected. And it's like, yeah, cool. Thank you for giving us that for like cheap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Last thing I want to say is shout out to all of the writers who have ever gotten the exciting news that their material is going to be used as source for a show, only to realize that it's going to fucking fall short because of production. There was a great line that Kana had just talking about when the author of the source manga visited the set for the filming of episode 1. Her look of disappointment was hard to bear. Like that, you gotta like, even though everybody's giving it their all, just knowing what it actually is such a heartbreaking realization about the industry of, like, in our lives, you know?
You're as the writer, your work of, or your child almost, your heart that you put hours and hours and hours into is only being used to sell models' careers.
Yeah.
Not even like young actors' careers, young models' careers. Like people that are just trying to get famous and not necessarily like want to be the best actor someday.
Yeah.
And to know that you're just being used to sell things and something that you loved and you created is just being used, it's almost taken advantage of, which is as similar to what's happening with Kana, is this thing that she loves, which is acting, is being taken advantage of in order to sell these models.
Yeah. You know what I'm really happy about? That Aqua, like, throughout his mission and his importance of his mission, he is realizing and connecting himself to, like, real tangible feelings that he's seeing from other people, right? We saw him have a sort of reaction to, like, we would not, if he didn't have feelings or a reaction to what was going on behind the scenes and what was being said about Kana, we wouldn't have seen him, you know, eavesdropping there. Mm-hmm. Obviously that was meant to show us he has his own opinions and feelings about this. And I think that might lead him into being a better actor and trying more in certain instances.
We're seeing almost this very realistic push and pull of someone growing up and realizing who they want to be and how they want to live their lives, which is so interesting when we're seeing it as a person that is reborn. Yeah. Who has already lived a life, but we're seeing this person, Aqua, this new life, kind of figuring himself out in like his ambitions and his goals. And so when the cigarette scene, I think, was almost very pivotal in terms of like a trajectory of what's going to be happening for the rest of the show, maybe, which is that kind of push and pull of what he thinks should be his goal and his priorities and keeping them straight. Yeah. And what does he want to do for himself? Because we got that butt. Mm-hmm.
I love this show.
I do too. I love this show. I don't want to wait. I know I have to. That's how it works when it comes out weekly.
This is one of them that once we have finished it for however long it's going to take, or I'll just do it and never read it, I will buy the entire manga series. I will save up and buy the entire manga series and like display it on my shelf. If there is a manga series, I don't know. I love this so much so far. And we're only 3 episodes in. What a joy.
What a joy. That's the sentiment I'm going to leave on to. What a joy.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time. But I think it's more intricate than that. But I think it's more intricate than that. But I think it's more intricate than that.
But I think it's more intricate than that.